Hi again, guys. Alright, so we just left off talking about doing our query and the fact that we didn't get any output. So now what we're going to do is we actually need to go through and look through our query results. That's why we did this here. So we built our query, we're getting query results now. These results are what we have to parse through in order to get what we're looking for. Couple of things that we're going to do. First thing we're going to do, we're going to make sure that we actually made a valid query. So right here, you'll notice that we check to see if it says not query results. You could have that also be $db results equals false. Either of those is fine. I just did the shortcut way here. What that's going to do is that's going to say, oh, okay, I got an error now. Something's not right if that's set to false. And this is going to display what my error is. So it will actually say that my query is invalid. Now, this will not give you an error if your query is not invalid. You could also have a situation where your query is perfectly valid, but you don't get any results. For example, and I'll use... Oh, that was right, actually. There. For example, here we have just Ed Byrne and John Doe. So if that's what we have, then if I'm doing a select and I put a condition on my select, so I select star from person where ID equals 4. Well, the fourth person hasn't been added yet, so it doesn't exist. Where first name equals Edward as opposed to Ed. Well, there's no matches yet. I'm going to get 0 responses. So if I do get a 0 response, I need to say, oh well, look, I got a 0 response. That's all I got to do. There's no response. I don't need to do the next part. So then I come down after that. So assuming that this part's true, this part's true, now I come here. So I'm going to say while, and I'm going to use this as my intermediary, while row equals MySql fetch associative DB results. The reason I use that instead of just using MySql fetch array is right here. You'll notice I have ID, I have first name, last name, email. You'll notice I have, I'll just go to my structure for a second, ID, first name, last name, and email. That's why I do that way. I tend to prefer to use the associative array. That way it doesn't matter which order I put these things in. If not, the order the things that are in the database is going to make a difference to me. So this I find is a much more flexible way of working. So what I've done here is this will loop through my results and get one row at a time of results until it gets to the end. That's what this while loop does. Then I'm going to start a paragraph. I'm going to write my row information for my ID, my first name, my last name, my email. I'm going to close my paragraph, and I got a couple of \n's in there. The reason I put them in is just so when I go to look at the source code later, it makes it a little easier for me to identify where this block came from. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to save this. Oh, it's already saved. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to go and run it. So again, I click on sample, and bam! Information's coming out. Doesn't look quite right yet, and the reason it doesn't look quite right is I got no spaces between any of my stuff. So I got 1, Ed Byrne is there, then it goes edburn.cna.nl.ca, 2, John Doe is all one word, and then JD at somewhere.com. But all the information is there. So what do I have to do to fix that? Well, remember, it's pretty picky on what you're doing. So a few things. One of the simplest things you can do when that happens, just add a space in a couple spots. It'll give us the spacing that we're looking for. If you want to be more than one space, you can use &NBSP. But in this case, I'm just showing one space for right now because I'm going to switch these all over to tables now in a second. and that should be fine. Alright, so when I refresh this time, you notice I get a little bit more spacing in. Well, a lot of times when you're taking information out of a database, you want it to land in a table because that's why you're doing it. Not always the case, but quite often it is. So what are we going to do here? Well, here we're going to start our table. I'm going to do it as an echo statement head. So table. Then I'm going to start with table row. Then I'm going to have table heading. Close table heading. Table heading, close table heading, table heading, close table heading. I'm going to start this off up on the top here because that's all I really need to do. You can make it a little bit prettier if you want. So I'm going to have first name, last name. I got the wrong spot. Try again. First name, last name, email. Then I'm going to close my table row because remember we're building a HTML output. Now here what I'm going to do is I want to put in table row, table data. Up to me if I leave the \n there. I'll actually take that one out. I'm going to put one in up here though. And again, I'm just doing that just for my purposes, so I'm able to see. Okay. So that's going to be close table data, open table data. Now I'm going to repeat this a couple of times till I get to the end, and you'll find out that something I did is not going to work. Wonder if you can guess what it is yet. And this one here is going to be a little different. That's going to be closed here. Okay, so I want to just do that much just to see what it's going to look like. When I go to refresh this one, I didn't close my table yet either, so things are starting to break out okay. You notice that something's not quite right because my spacing's off a bit, but since I didn't close my table up yet, I really need to do that. Need to close my table. I need to put quotes around that as well. So the one thing you're going to notice over here, or you should notice already over here, is that, well, everything looks the same, but I got an extra field. The reason I have an extra field is I only have headings up for first name, last name, and email. But I'm outputting more than that. So what I need to do is I just need to remove the part where I'm accessing the row information. Because while I got that in my query, I didn't need to have it in my thing. Now you can see how that information lands in a table. And if you take a look at the page source, you'll see that there's why I put in those \n's, because they're the parts that let things happen for me. Okay, now if I was to come over here and insert something new into my table, Bob. We'll have someone's name is Bob Bobs. There we go. And has had an email address for a long time. So I'll add that. I come back over here. As soon as I refresh, bang, oh, it's there. It's in the format that I'm looking for, and you can see how you go about putting that stuff together. So I'm going to call this one a video, and I'll chat with you guys again soon. Bye for now.